This is the Escape podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. As we cruise through the summer in this post 5.9.2 world, we're going to go back and check on where our Sork storylines are at on the beautiful planet of Corellia. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about a guild event we had this week, which was a power leveling party. And we'll talk about how that worked and why that was interesting. This broadcast astromech over here is EPC 254. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Today I'm feeling grateful. I was standing in my kitchen earlier thinking about what I was going to say tonight, and I started thinking about how I was going to complain about the weather, and I'm like realizing that I'm always complaining about the weather, although I do hate it. This, like, a little breeze came in the window, and I could smell the grass and all that stuff, and I go, you know what? I have so much to be thankful for that I should not just focus on the one little thing that I don't like, or, well, two if you count boss fights with rancors, but yes, so I should think about all the boss fights that aren't rancors, for instance. So yes, I'm feeling grateful today, and also we had a lot of fun in MFN this week. We did a leveling party, which we're going to talk about. I got two of my tunes to level 70. They were starting in the 60s, but still, that was good. And I got quite a bit of CXP on my Sentinel, which I hadn't played him in forever, but he's one of my crafters. So yay, now he can have a lot of companions crafting at the same time. And, well, I guess he could already, but still. That is a lot of what I've been doing this week, as well as checking out one other game that had a beta release this week, which has been fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, yep. But SWTOR stuff. We have our ops tonight. I'm looking forward to that, and that's because we're doing our recording tonight before ops instead of after ops, trying something new. So, like Max said earlier, it's pre-alcohol, which isn't necessary, but just worked out that way. I did go shopping today, though, and I did get limes and tonics, so I'm set for later, just in case you guys were worried about me.
Good.
So yeah, so how are things going with you, Max?
Things are going good. Yeah, so I did a few catch-up things this week, of a few things in Star Wars. I did miss our Tuesday night event, so we'll talk about it in detail when we get into our gameplay. But so I was why did I miss that? Oh, I had a work event downtown. I had one of those all-day work meetings, and then you do dinner after and that kind of thing. So I knew I wouldn't make it, and then I knew I would also probably be late for the podcast. That's why we moved to Thursday, and then we decided, because I was supposed to have another big work thing real early tomorrow morning, that we would try to do it before our ops night tonight. So yeah, this is a rare early evening, late afternoon version of the podcast. It seems like we were able to get a bunch of people in that may not have been able to see our podcast live typically. So that is awesome. I'm glad to see so many people in. Happy to try this out. I feel awake, and yes, there is no alcohol. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before. I don't drink before 8 p.m. Not because I'm all that opposed to it, but actually because it makes me fall asleep. I do. So I will,
right.
I'm like falling asleep by 10:30 when I'm, in the middle of trying to do whatever I'm doing. So
yeah, I don't like to fall asleep that early either, because then it's not a good sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night or too early or something.
Yeah, so I don't do that. Anyway, in Star Wars this week, I've been taking a little bit of advantage of the double XP and CXP. I saved up all of those CXP packs you get from operations bosses, and I went through all of those on my Marauder, because that's one of the two advanced classes that I don't have to 300 for that meta achievement. I've got a bunch of characters to 300.
That's so smart.
But they're all...
I know a lot of people did that.
Yeah. So I only had about 50 or 60 of them. But that was plenty to get me, probably the same number, if not more, command ranks, which is a nice chunk, probably 60 or 70 command ranks. Because waited for CXP. I waited for it was light 5, which then you get a little bit of extra bonus for that, and whatever other bonuses I could stack on top of it, and opened them all up. So my Marauder is well on his way to 300, which will be cool. I've also, a little bit boring and, not something I would typically do when there's double XP burning, but on the side when I just am on a conference call for work or doing something else, I have had the client open and have been cycling through my characters, using the decos in my stronghold to slowly start to replenish my crafting materials, because we burned a lot in the last crafting week. So that is a best practice. So I think we've talked about it a little bit before, but our conquest experts who have stacks of basically 10,000 of every grade of every material get most of them, or a good number of them, from setting up the decos in a way that they can cycle all their characters through in their stronghold, click on those decos 3 times a day, and get a whole bunch of materials that way. So that is what I have been doing. So not all that exciting, but got to replenish those supplies. And with that, I think we can talk a little bit about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
What's up in news?
I'm first.
I almost started talking. I almost took
I'm lagging.
I'd like to jump in. I always take Seema's news items. What's up in news, Seema? Lag, yes.
Well, yes. I had to say my joke twice. Anyway, the lag update that we were going to have this week has been pushed out till next week. It's a part of 5.9.2a.
Is that the Canadian patch? So it's 5.9.2a.
Oh my God. That also has some. That's so the lag update is to fix lag in the strongholds, and they think they have a handle on it, and they were going to roll it out this week. In fact, they were going to roll it out this morning, but they couldn't get it out. They still had something they were working on, so they pushed it out to next week, which is fine. I mean, better than rolling it out anyway. And it has a number of fixes for the Rishi stronghold, and for things in general, like that there was apparently a gap that players get underneath the overlooked platform, so they closed that up. Yeah, a lot of miscellaneous things which you can look at the thread for.
Sorry, the bartender was bugging me here. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Was he making a pass at you?
No, I clicked on him, forgetting that he would start talking to me. Be quiet, man. Can't you see we're doing a podcast here? Yeah. Small fixes, but a bunch of fixes. Go and check that out. And maybe your favorite 5.9.2 bug did get fixed. The line of sight issue not being fixed is a little bit of a bummer for the people that are still trying to set up their stronghold PvP arenas. You want that line of sight turned back on, the line of sight blocking turned back on a bunch of decos, so that you can set up really interesting arenas and have your tournaments in there. In fact, once we get to the community news, we will talk about at least one server that's already having a PvP tournament coming up on Satil Shan. Kogaz is hosting that. They're going to have to do it without all of the decos having that line of sight stuff turned on.
I mean, speaking of my favorite bug fixes, the one where quick travel doesn't randomly kill people is my favorite bug. It reminds me of that bug that whenever you would quick travel or speeder travel, your companion would die. And they would fix it, and then it would come back, and they would fix it and it would come back. And I just laughed the other day because I got somewhere and my companion was dead, and I'm like, it's back.
It's back. Who knows?
I felt nostalgic about it.
Also in the news, the other medium-sized news update which has a few posts in the dev tracker, is from Brett Hoffman, and he's one of the devs who focuses on Galactic Starfighter. He posted a few things. He started off the week posting in response to a thread where people were talking about how many 8v8 versus 12v12 matches were popping lately, and why there were so many 12v12, what happened to 8v8. Okay, Kemval. And he said, to be clear, nothing has changed as far as that goes. The game always did try to do 12v12. That's the initial target that it's going for. And when enough time goes by where it can't do a 12v12 but could pop an 8v8, it does that. So that's still the MO. That's still how it works. He said he will evaluate sort of how often 12v12 versus 8v8 is happening. A lot of people were sort of posting back and forth which they liked better. Do you like 12v12 versus 8v8? The case to be made for 12v12 is there's less opportunity for a 4-man group to queue up and really skew the results. You get a little bit more opportunity for balance if you have enough people in the queue. And then the second thing, which ties right into the second thing, is a deeper discussion in a few different two different posts from Brett, which talked about the matchmaking in GSF. Matchmaking has been updated. That is one of the things that went into 5.9.2, and it is based on a couple different things. It's very difficult to figure out how good a player is. So it is not based on a very calculated method for figuring out how good a player it is, but it does go further than it has in the past. So it does give you a score based on the loadout of your ship, and that is one factor. And then the other factor which they're taking into account is they're looking across your legacy and looking at how much GSF you have played. So not perfect, but it does at least do sort of a slash played cross legacy to say, okay, this person plays a lot of GSF and they have a really well decked out ship here. We're going to rate them higher and we're going to try to match them up and balance the teams with the people that are rated higher in that way.
Wasn't there a thing though where you could change your loadout so that it gamed the matchmaking a little bit? Like you could go in with a certain loadout and then.
So I don't think you can't change the loadout in the match. So there may be a way for you to game the loadout and load in with with lesser weapons or with stuff unequipped or I don't think you can unequip. I think you have to have something in each of your primary, secondary shields engines. Something.
But even with this change, they're only
your
going with your loadout, not your entire collection of ships, right?
Yes.
That's the way I read it anyway.
Right. So
which is good because it doesn't matter what ships you don't bring.
Right. Right. So it's what you bring to the match. So remember when you hit H, you get to pick 5 ships, and then the ships have progression, a little bit of progression on each of their weapons. Like heavy laser cannons has 5 tiers of unlocks, which upgrade them over time using ship requisition. Those 5 ships, or 4 or 3, or however many ships you choose to bring, like see, I can pull ships off of my loadout of what ships I'm going to bring that are part of my hangar. That's what they're using to calculate your loadout. This can't change once you get into the match, though. So if you say I'm bringing these 3 ships and these are and I'm using heavy laser cannons and I'm up to tier 5 on my heavy laser cannon upgrades, you can't change that once you get in. So that's fair.
Right.
If I want to game it and only bring one ship has nothing unlocked on it, fine, go ahead. But you're gonna go play with nothing unlocked. Now, if I've played a ton and I'm really good, I can still do well with a less unlocked ship, but the slash played across my legacy will take that into account. So Starry Saber in the chat room does make a comment on that. If you look at legacy, you are working on a new character, it will distort it. But remember, it's taking the loadout score. So the only thing that would be distorting it is if you've played a ton of GSF, you're still going to be better off than a person who has not, even in a completely brand new ship with nothing unlocked.
Right.
But then they're also multiplying
across the legacy,
or matching that up with the loadout score as well. So
yeah, the only thing they're looking at the legacy for is how many total games, basically.
Pretty much.
So they'll know that you're an experienced GSF player, even though you're on a brand new character.
Right. All right. What's coming up in guild news, Seema?
So soon, like a week from tomorrow, will be the August Mega, that is called Revenge of the Huts. It's going to take place in our guild Rishi Stronghold, and I suspect there may be PvP or even Hutball shenanigans. This is being put on by Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
You can check our website for more details. I think there's an update and a blog post. If you're wondering what our website is, it's aie-guild.org.
Yes, it is, and that's going to be a
And
fun event.
yes, I'm afraid. I'm very afraid.
So there was a little bit of testing that went on Friday. I was in there with the groups on Friday. Marcus got a group of people in there to see how well it was working, see what it felt like, get experience with the bolster terminal and turning the games on and off and setting the matches and picking teams and that kind of thing. It was quite fun. I don't think you need to be afraid. It's just fun regardless. It's going to be group v group, although I don't know. They all wanted to shoot me at one point, mostly because I was just shooting everybody.
Mostly because what, Max?
I have no reason. I don't know why they're just picking on me. Why? Leave me alone. But it was really surprisingly fun. So the pressure is off when it's just a guild group in there goofing around with friends, and you're trying to see how far you can get it. You're trying to set up cool plays in Hutball and throwing the ball back and forth and shooting people and shooting your friends and shooting people who don't have the ball because you think it's funny and that kind of thing. So I think Marcus has a plan for how he's going to set it up. It's not really I don't think it's going to be like a big tournament where people, there's a bunch of pressure and all of that. I think it's going to be goofing off and having a bunch of fun with PvP and Hutball in particular in the Rishi Stronghold sort of being the key thing we're focused on. So I'm looking forward to it.
So everyone's invited. Please come.
Yeah, not just Guild. Everyone's invited, especially the way Marcus sets up these monthly events. So this is on 8/24. This is on the 24th, a week from Friday, at 8 p.m. Central Time on the Starforge server. Jump in, send us a note. Check aie-guild.org to get on our guild Discord. You don't have to be in AIE. You can come hang out with us. We'll get you into the Stronghold. It is going to be Imperial side. You do have to be Imperial to get in the Stronghold, the Rishi Stronghold on our Imperial side guild. But it's going to be a blast. So come on down. Also in guild news, we did have a couple updates to the way we decided to handle Conquest for our guild. One of the things that we've been doing, our guild does cross both factions. So we do Republic and Imperial. Up to this point, we've been more heavily weighted on the Imperial side. We've been doing 2 weeks Imperial and 1 week Republic for our fun events and where we invade on Conquest and where we're focused. So we did Imperial Week, then a Republic Week, and then back to 2 Imperial Weeks. We have decided at this point we have enough people that are maining on the Republic side, and everyone has alts on both sides. We've gotten to the point where we are confident that we can support going every other week Imperial Republic. So
yes,
that is fun for the guild. I think everybody has heard that at this point. I have a blog post up which details that, along with a couple other things, up on aie-guild.org. It's my SWTOR State of the Galaxy blog post. I also talk about how we're going to approach Conquest, when we're going to pull the trigger on what we invade. In fact, we're getting close to our invade target. I think we messed it up last week as we're learning the new deadline. We missed our deadline last week and messed it up for some people. Sorry. So we're going to invade most of the time on Saturday. And we have a few regulars, B. Kavanaugh, Zen, Sakic, Jenna, who focus on which size planet we're going to engage on the faction that we're focused on that week. And we're going to mostly pull the trigger on that on Saturday, middle of the day. And then the Rishi Stronghold. We've got it 100% unlocked for the guild. And I told the guild, because everybody's sort of contributed and is part of that, and we're all having fun when it's kicked off, at least for now, anyone who wants a gold key in the guild, who wants a gold key to mess around and decorate in there, DM me on Discord, and I will get you a gold key set up. I already have a rack oven that I need to get one tonight, but
Just
we can do that.
just keep in mind that it's a completely manual process, and it takes them a while to find the key.
It is terrible. It is horrible. This is the worst bit of interface that exists in SWTOR. Most of SWTOR's interface is relatively reasonable. It's pages of about 15 character names, completely in no particular order. So I have 90 pages of character names on the Imperial side, 91 pages that I have to manually flip through to find your character name by eyeballing this random list of random order to find your character name and assign a gold key to it. It is insane. My eyeballs bleed every time I need to go through that. I don't know why I can't just like search, or they can't at least be alphabetical order or something. BioWare,
They're going to make it
please.
sortable so that the last person who logged in will come to the top of the list.
That's hilarious. Let's see. So check that out. One other little side note, we did have a little bit more news in that State of the Galaxy update. Seema, what is that news?
Oh, well, we have good news. A lot of people know this already, but we have 2 new officers for AIE in SWTOR, and they are Marcus and Dent. And I'm so happy to have you guys on board. You cannot even know.
Yes. So the way we assign and bring new officers into AIE is a relatively big process. 2 things. We look for roles that we need done, jobs that we need done across the guild. And then when we bring in officers to any of our game divisions, all of our officers in AIE are community officers. So all of us are peers and work together across the entire guild and across all of the games that we're in. So we have officers that are focused on individual games. We have officers that cross multiple games, and we have officers that do all of the games. We have active guilds in Star Wars, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, EVE Online. We have a very active corporation in EVE Online, part of the, I think we're still in Blades of Grass Alliance. No, maybe we're not in there anymore. Guild Wars, Star Trek Online, Final Fantasy, and Lord of the Rings. Outside of that, we do maintain a presence in Destiny, and we do stuff in a bunch of people right now are back into No Man's Sky. I don't know why. The cake is a lie. That game made me cry. So no way you would go back. But I suppose there's sort of grouping content, group updates. In that, long story short, in that we found that we had a gap in some jobs that we needed done, and longtime players Dent and Marcus were already doing parts of these jobs in a great way. So we pulled them in. Dent is going to continue to be focused on helping lead group content for us and providing some oversight amongst the operations teams that we have. And Dent is already supporting our Star Trek guild as well. Dent's and a few of our other divisions helping out already. And then Marcus, as you might imagine, Marcus has been focused on community outreach and his ability to go out there and get our guild connected to other guilds and other influencers out there, not just in, mostly in Star Wars, but not just there, has been a great asset, and we're going to continue to expand that role as well. So thank you guys, and a little bit of background there on how officers happen and how we look for those jobs to get filled from time to time. Also in community news, outside of our guild, I did want to call out a PvP tournament that is coming up this weekend. As I mentioned in the intro, Kogas is a streamer that is pretty popular for Star Wars: The Old Republic. He is hosting a 2v2 PvP tournament on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Satele Shan server. He will be hosting it on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kogas, KOGASS_. So you can track information down there, or jump on the Satele Shan server on Sunday and check it out. So yeah, I hope they don't run into too much trouble not getting that update today, which they probably would have wanted for the line of sight updates. So they could have been a little bit more creative in the way they set up the arenas. I'm hoping that line of sight still works on the decorations that it used, the few decorations that it worked on and the new ones that they added into the Rishi Conquest update vendor. So hopefully they'll be able to at least set up some sort of reasonable arena, but they won't be able to get really creative and put like some of the extra, fancy op statues and things like that, because those do not break line of sight right now. And as we said, shout out to the chat room, right, Seema?
Right. Let's do a shout out to the chat room. Sorry, I was watching our Twitch chat.
Well, I'm just yapping. I'm distracting.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't really, listening, but
Ooh, nobody really
yeah,
is.
I do want to thank. I do want to thank the chat room. It's great that you guys come time after time, and I love it when new people show up, and you guys are keeping it interactive for us, which is really helpful. So thank you.
Thank you. We will do a drawing after the show, and I'm looking for advice on an extension or a setup. We do our drawing manually. We go down the list and make Seema roll the number every week. I'm gonna change that. So if people have advice on that, like Nightbot or whatever these Twitch things are that these pro Twitch people use, we'll figure that out. But we're gonna do a drawing anyway.
We've been doing it manually. Also write checks instead of using debit cards.
Cash. So with that, let's get to a little bit of a check back in on Corellia and just see where things are at. Kemval, give us a rundown. Where did we leave off? Thank you. That is exactly correct. So as Kem mentioned, I don't need to repeat it, but I will, just because I want to expand on what he said. It's obvious. I mean, that goes without saying. Thank you, Kem.
It's obvious, right? Yes.
But Corellia is we argued about this, didn't we? It is the end of, it's a planet where everyone's class story chapter 3 ends. The original class stories then all converge after the end of chapter 3 on Ilum. So you could think of this as sort of the end of your chapter 3 of your class story, or the end of your class story, or you could think of it as the second to last planet in the original content. However you think about it. That's where we came. We're in the middle of just some random point. In fact, we did a couple things to set up our assault here. We're going after, what's his name? Thanaton. So Thanaton has set up a base of operations. We're setting up our base of operations, and we're basically going to war. So we have to do another little side quest here, go after and disarm some explosives. That's a next step, so we're going to go and do that. While we're doing that, we're going to talk about this cool thing that happened on Tuesday. So I'm going to jump on this speeder here, Seema, and go to the Imperial War Camp tram.
Okay.
And you can follow me on the monorail.
Have a safe and pleasant stay.
And while that happens, I missed it, but I heard all about it, and we did a bunch of planning to make sure that it was going to work. Tell me about what happened on Tuesday, the power leveling party.
So what we decided to do, we kind of had a Discord conversation about it. What we decided to do, rather than do something for Conquest this week, to take advantage of the double XP, double CXP event, that we would go somewhere and kill a bunch of gold mobs and get a bunch of XP for everyone. So that's exactly what we did. And in order to pick places, we thought about basically the heroic areas where we might find a concentration of gold mobs. And by gold mobs, I mean like elite mobs, ones that give more XP than like a regular mob. And I think we had 20 people in the raid. I mean, in the ops team by the time we got all set together. And we picked a place in Nar Shaddaa. And because of planetary sync, it doesn't matter which planet you go on. And we started killing stuff. And as always, the biggest hurdle for us is staying all together, so that everybody gets the XP for each kill. But we did okay with that, and just it's you probably won't complete the actual heroic, but because you're in an ops team, but you use the you can use the travel thing to get there, and yeah, it was pretty good. And we picked up a straggle while we were there. There was somebody there who said, "What are you guys doing? Can I join?" We said, "We're doing XP, and yes, you can."
Yeah. So finishing the heroic is beside the point. Picking a heroic area just happens to be convenient because those are the places on most planets where there's a bunch of elite mobs. Picking one that has a large balance of gold mobs, or the toughest you can get, and maybe even champions in some cases, is a good idea. Because you're going to kill them instantly anyway with a big group, so it doesn't matter. And then I didn't realize this. I mean, this seems really obvious now, but I guess other guilds have done this. In fact, we a couple
Yes.
of guildies.
In fact, it was a comment by Sakic talking about what one of his other guilds does that made me want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Because we've had fun before just doing rampages.
Yeah, exactly. So right. So it's easy, fun, low key content, but when you're doing it that way really fast in a big group, apparently you get tons. I mean, there were people that went from, put on like 30 levels.
Yeah.
30, 40 levels in 2 hours. Some extreme leveling if you're lining it up and you're doing it right. And you've got double XP going on. That's great.
We're not even, all that tight of an operation too.
Right.
So I mean.
Right.
And
so probably a little bit slower.
It was
than
fun.
Than it
so
could
while we were doing it, we could talk about different things because it's not like you need to do any particular strategy. Like I said, the hardest thing is just staying together.
Fire up, plug DJ,
but
listen to some music, goof around.
Apollos was trying to keep us honest in that. Every once in a while, I could hear him saying, we're splitting up."
Mm-hmm.
Then I would look at the map and go, "Yeah, where is everybody?"
So, mark your leader. Whoever the leader is, put a mark on him. Here, I'll put a mark on Seema right now. We always make Seema the star. Where's the star? Target marker.
I always wanted to be Jazz Hands.
Star. So Seema's got the star over her. Mark your leader, and then everyone needs to look for that mark and stick to that mark. That's how you stay together. Yeah. In Guild Wars, in Guild Wars, whoever starts the big group in Cyrodiil, the big war area, faction v faction war, gets a crown on their head automatically, and it shows up on the map.
Oh,
so you'll see people constantly yelling because
cool feature. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, it's a key strategy. You'll hear people constantly yelling, "Stay on crown, because you're going after objectives and you're battering down walls, and so you have to stay on crown. So we now say that in our groups, stay on crown. Whatever the mark happens to be, we say stay on crown. 22 to 61, somebody went. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the deal is if you are close enough, you'll get XP. So you'll get credit for the kill if you're in the ops team. So whether or not you get to hit the mob at all, which doesn't really figure into it. However, if you are trying to get credit on something like an achievement for killing a certain number of this, or the bonus quest for the heroic in the area, you have to be in the same party that the first person who tags that particular mob is in. So, like for instance, I eventually got credit for the bonus part of the heroic after, I don't know, an hour and a half of killing things because it just wasn't my group that often.
Right.
My party within the ops team.
But again,
so
that's,
a lot of
that's
people
super minor.
Asking.
Compared to
it
level
is,
22 to 61, that, completing the heroic's going to get you to 61.3 instead of 61.1. It's
that's right.
Completely beside the point.
If you still need a few more kills at the end of the hour, you can just, drop out of the group and do them.
Yeah.
Because it's not raid content that you need a group for. So it was just a very fun, relaxed evening. I would definitely lobby for doing it again the next time we have an XP event.
The other really interesting thing to think about if you're coming in there with your big group is weapons don't matter, gear doesn't matter. Especially if you got a couple higher level people that are like going for CXP while you're going for XP and leveling, it doesn't matter. And you don't need to like
Yeah.
go back to fleet and get extra gear because now, you started at level 22 with, level 15 gear or whatever, and now you're level 50. You don't have to. You could just be naked with no gun punching mobs. It doesn't matter. So,
I mean, yeah, Corley brought up a good point, mentioned the XP gear. On my Sentinel, I had the XP gear from the DVL event, but I didn't have any mods or armorings or enhancements in it.
no, don't need to. And that's perfectly
No.
fine. You'll get all that. What is it? I think the full set is 25% XP bonus on top of
Something like that, yeah.
everything else. Unfortunately, you can't get that anymore. That was part of the DVL event rewards. But yeah, so I don't know why I had not done this before or thought about it. I mean, I think in general, you do get quite a bit of XP if you run an operation, but not this much. So now solo, it's a little bit different. Obviously, you can't do the same thing solo, and it would be really, really slow and boring to be grinding gold mobs solo. So I wouldn't recommend it that way. But here, that was a cool event, and I'm glad it worked out. And everybody seemed to be happy with how it went. Maybe it's boring if you're 300 CXP and max level and don't want to level up an alt. So that's a little bit downside, I guess. But
I think for me anyway, I don't know how many other people feel this way, but for me, it's more exciting to level through levels than to level through just CXP. So like I did stay for a while after my Sentinel got 70, but the CXP just wasn't as exciting as the levels. So I switched characters eventually to get go back to leveling.
Sure. It's levels is ding. CXP ranks is eh. That MMO, the real MMO, not endorphin rush. The dopamine hit is from getting a level.
Yeah.
You gotta get
Yeah.
those.
It's been like that for me in every game. I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Yeah. All right. So that's group stuff. What do you like for solo though? I mean, everybody's got a little bit of a different spin, a different twist on how they go solo for levels. How do you like to do levels solo, Seema?
Well, I go back and forth, right? So sometimes I just don't want to quest. I get in a little state where I just don't want to quest. I don't want to do missions. So at that point, then I just rather do heroics, things that I already know, and I can just kind of run through, and watch, Netflix or something. Other times I really get into the class stories. So it's kind of an ebb and flow thing for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I do like that it's relatively balanced in what you can do. You can get a fair amount of XP pretty much doing anything and everything in the game. So if you wanted to just PvP a whole bunch, or if you wanted to do GSF, you can get a really good amount of XP that way. If I'm going to be, especially once I get to level 50, I find doing the CZ198, Black Hole, and Section X to be easy and very high return for the amount of time spent.
I know for some reason my Black Hole is my favorite. It's short and it's easy.
Yeah.
I just never get tired of it.
It's a nice
for some
little
reason.
area. It's not, it's sunny.
CZ198 sometimes gets a little bit old for me because it's very popular.
It does.
And I don't
tend
like
to get
that
busy.
part where you wait in line to kill the one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There is a lot of that. I mean, I really like CZ198, but you're right. That's the worst part of it. In that first part, you're supposed to like click on those little boxes to open the doors with the droids in it, and there's always like 3 people down there clicking on them. You're like standing around. It's bugging me. All right, we're down here. I'm supposed to find Darth Thanaton. Let me turn up the volume a little bit.
There he is.
We'll go talk to him, see what he's gonna say. What's up, Darth
He's
T.
going to say, "I must kill you."
Than Man, Darth T. All right. Yeah.
Not bad, but not enough. Now everyone sees your weakness.
He's flying. What is he doing? Oh, he just jumped up real high.
He couldn't do that last
You've
week.
saved your fleet, but you've let the enemy slip from your grasp.
Use the emergency valve controls. Hey, turtle.
He's my turtle. I like turtles.
Let me turn the volume back down here a little bit. I heard, and I'd like this confirmed. Someone told me today, or just in the last couple days, I forgot who it was. I could look back. That it's you cannot kill Speedy in guild strongholds. Is that true? Can I stop
I think
threatening
you-
all my guildies?
Well, he is green, so I think you can't even really attack him.
Well, you never can.
But then-
That's not how it works. There's a
Right, I
series
know,
of
but
steps
then-
that something else.
Oh, right.
kills
I was just gonna say there's an achievement where you get something else to do it, but maybe you can't do it at all in the guild version. I see. I hadn't heard that. That would be nice.
Yeah, somebody told me in reference to me ranting about it and threatening everyone recently.
Oh my
to
god.
leave.
Now chat is offering to try for a test.
No,
For science.
no, negative,
No.
negative
No.
Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. No. All right, who am I calling on the telephone here? I'm gonna pull out my telephone. Why do I have to call somebody on a telephone?
My lord, the refinery is ours.
Moff
The
Pyron.
fleet is refueling as we speak.
Oh, that's right. Our fleet was stranded because they locked down the refineries, and we're gonna have a problem. Let's put the fleet. What's Thanaton's plan? That's really what I care about.
Do we know where Thanaton will strike next?
With all respect, my lord, now is not the time to wait for Thanaton. Now is the time to strike. We've located Thanaton's main base of
That's what I
operations
said.
on Corellia. An old Republic command center inside the Museum of Corellian Industry. All of his resources are centered on that base. And better still, few people know that it no longer belongs to the Republic.
All right, then that's where we strike.
We must
Fine.
obliterate Thanaton's base. Get the fleet ready.
The fleet has more than enough firepower to do the job, but unfortunately the base
Of course
is
it's
shielded
shielded.
from within against orbital attacks. If I know Thanaton, the place is just as heavily guarded inside. To take out those shields, you'll want a strike force at your back.
What can you provide?
Are you offering your men to help me?
I'm afraid I don't have a man to spare, and certainly none with the kind of training you'd need. You'd want field commandos. There's an Imperial Commando outpost outside the Coronet City Zoo. They should get you inside the base to destroy them when
Okay.
the shields are down.
Okay, so now we got to go track down these commandos to come help us out. So I don't remember in this class story if we get a choice. So we'll maybe see, probably not this week, just as we go through, because we're almost wrapped up here for this week. But the sort of spoiler on the Vanguard story, the Trooper Vanguard story, when you do this planet on the Trooper Vanguard story, you are a commander. You're a military commander in the Trooper Vanguard story. You're also then, you have sort of 3 sub-command groups that you've divided up as part of your final assault in that part of the story. And in doing that, I think you get to pick which one of those you play through, or maybe it's 2, and you get sort of 2 choices. You're sort of like doing a frontal assault versus more of a stealth assault. I really liked the feel of that in the story. It just felt like a military strategy and planning. It felt like an assault assault group going off and doing a thing. I highly recommend making sure you play through the end of Chapter 3 on the Trooper Vanguard story. It was one of my favorite pieces.
Just the Trooper story.
Yeah, Trooper's the advanced class, so Vanguard Commando.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just want to add, I really enjoyed the Trooper story too. I mean, it's like the classic hero story.
Yeah. It's quite cool. Okay, so we're gonna go. In fact, maybe we will just wrap it up a little bit early this week and do a nice concise show. Got us a little bit through the class story. Got us to talk about some of the leveling fun that we have. We're gonna try to shake it up a little bit with those kinds of our Tuesday night MFN mandatory fun night events are designed around trying to do stuff that people don't usually get to do. First on that list, almost most of the time, is operations. A lot of people aren't on an ops team, and Tuesday night's a great opportunity for people new to the guild, new to the game, that don't get to do ops a lot, to get in and do an operation. So we'll continue to do quite a few of those, but I think we're going to try to shake it up a little bit and do some different interesting things from time to time as well, like this leveling event we had this Tuesday. So that we'll be looking forward to. As we said, don't forget, similar to our MFNs, but cranked up a whole notch, week from Friday, our mega event, our monthly Epic Guild activities hosted by new officer Marcus. That's going to be cool. Any other parting comments for leveling or Sorks or Corellia that you wanted to throw out there, Seema, before we head out?
Corellia, the place where you have to watch the map while you move.
Yes, and yeah, boy. So, yeah, and there's traps, and it looks like you can get through on the map, but you can't. And every time you try to go from the flight point to the place where you need to go, you run into a wall, even though it looks like there's a road that goes that way. Welcome to Corellia. Also the home of chilled Corellian cocktails, though. So there's that.
Well, there's that. Yeah. It's worth it then.
At that crappy bar at the spaceport, you can go to get a chilled Corellian cocktail. So you got that going for you, which is nice. All right. With that, we will kick EPC Droid 254 here out in airlock so he can broadcast this podcast to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. And if you know people that should be listening to the show that aren't, or should be in AIE that are not, send them our way. That would be really cool. That's the reason we do this show, is to find more cool people that we should be playing with. So tell them to check us out. Tell them to check us out on YouTube, on twitch.tv/newoverlords. Tell them to find us on Starforge and ask us for a guild invite, or find our guild website at aie-guild.org. You can get on our Discord there. You can say, hey Max, hey Seema, hey all of you SWTOR people, I would like to join up, and we will get you taken care of. And with that, we will talk to you later.
Later, everyone.